It's 20th of September 25. It's Saturday. So there was 5 council by-elections on Thursday, so that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the council by-elections in the UK, and I'm looking at it from a point of view. I think we should be voting as a single issue now. There should be a single issue party, but there isn't. So to vote in that single issue is a protest vote. The nearest you can get at the moment is Reform, I would say. In the future, it'll be Advance, probably Advance UK. But I think I would prefer that there was a single issue party who was getting right uh, to the issue really. But that's what we've got. So at the moment, voting reform is the best you can do. Um, so I'm just looking at it from that perspective, and I would say especially if you vote Greens, SNP, Labour, Lib Dems, don't be afraid to vote reform. Don't listen to their politicians anymore. You know they tell you you're not allowed to vote for them. Don't vote for them. Vote reform. Vote with your heart and your mind, both. Okay, right, on to the first one. I'm just having a look first of all. There was one in Newham, council that's in East London, and I think we can safely say this is a Bengali speaking gentleman has won it for the Newham Independents, who all happen to seem to be Bengali speakers by the looks of it. And then Warwickshire, Warwick South, the Green Party won it. I think the demographics here is that traditional British is about 65%. So this area's changed quite a lot, I think. I don't know, I think it may be a rich area as well off. So Reform didn't do that well there. I mean, it's still done pretty good, but not enough. Brighton, I would imagine that's a lost cause, really. The Green Party won there. They took it from Labour, I think. And that's probably to do with one issue, mostly. Cardiff, Trowbridge, I think this is one of Labour's strongest council wards in Wales, and Reform won it easily. They get 40%, that's their first standing there. Labour were down to 21%. They were down 31% Labour. So personally, I think the whole of Wales, the Welsh have woken up and they're all going to vote Reform at the Senedd next year. You know, people are saying, no, Labour will get a few. Apparently, Plaid Cymru are going to do well. I don't know why, because they're probably worse on this issue than Labour. They want to change Wales faster than Labour, which you would think was impossible, but yeah, I think Labour are totally finished there. And there was one more in Warwick North, and I think it was a sort of area that's still not changed too much, or that's changed a bit, and I think Reform won it, but I couldn't find it in Google Gemini or Grok, so I'll just look at these ones. I mean, first of all, the Welsh one, we'll look at that. Yeah, so Reform, this is the first time standing there. 40%, straight in at 40%. This is a very strong Labour area. It's changed a lot, I think. I think it's inner city. Obviously not enough yet for Labour or any new independent party or whatever, any new identity party. The Lib Dems increased. They've went from 15. They're up 15%. I don't know why. Maybe on one issue to do with the Middle East or something. I don't know. Or I mean, Anne Widdecombe said that she thinks that the future will be Reform versus Lib Dems, but I'm not sure about that actually. I think actually Advance will become big in the right and the left, even because of one issue. They'll get lots of Labour, SNP, Greens voters because of one issue. Um, and then she thinks on the left it'll be the Lib Dems. And personally, I've always thought the Lib Dems is more sort of Labourish than Labour. Not under Jeremy Corbyn, obviously, but yeah, personally, I think the left party is the Green Party, but I think lefties they go by personalities, so they usually go for Labour because of personalities like Jeremy Corbyn. They're personality driven, I think, Because really, looking at the Greens, I would say for 30, 40 years, the Greens, probably even 50 years, the Greens have been the ones that are the Socialist Party, really. And so in this ward, there was a party called Propel. So I don't know what they were all about, but they dropped down 4.5% to 2.2. Green parties get 2.3% of the vote. So usually they didn't stand the last time. Maybe that was to let Labour win, give Labour more. I don't know, because the left do this quite a lot. They stand things down so that the right or the party to do with the single issue protest vote, to do with how Britain's changing, they all gather together so that they'd stand down, they'd make deals and stand down so that the left can probably beat them, because it's first past the post. There's the Tories, they're 3.1%, they're down 14.8%, and rightly so, they should be seen as a busted flush, really. So they're down at 3.1% there. They were at around about 18% before that. And as Plaid Cymru, the Trojan Horse Party, I would call them, well, they didn't stand the last time either, so this looks to me as if these parties didn't stand so that the Labour would win. I don't know who from. Not the Tories anyway. I don't know. But it's unusual that they didn't stand, because it is Wales. For a start, it's an inner city Cardiff area, I think, this place. 7.7%, so they didn't do very well at all. Labour Party, they're down 31%, so they're finished. They were totally dominated the area before that. They were over 50% of the vote. They were like 52, 53% of the vote. Now they're down to 21%. So they're way down. Lib Dems, I see all the names are probably traditional Welsh names there. Lib Dems, 23%, they're up 16%. So I don't know what's going on there. Why didn't they stand the last time? Probably done a deal with Labour or something. Oh no, they did stand the last time, but they didn't get many votes. And then at the top, Reformer comes straight in, 40% really. So that's good. And that's maybe a really historically safe Labour seat. So I think Labour are totally finished in Wales. I think it's going to be Reform. Some say it'll be Reform v Plaid Cymru for the Welsh Assembly next year. I think it will just be Reform, really. Because there's a chance to vote on a single issue of how Wales is changing. And then the other big thing from yesterday would probably be Newham in London, East London. EastEnders is nothing like what it really is like. In fact, you could say the BBC is being biased in their characters for EastEnders. They're showing one side far too much, the opposite of adverts. And really, somebody should call them out on it. But and it should possibly, EastEnders should possibly be in Bengali to reflect East London, but that's not happened. But here in Newham, we've got a guy who probably speaks Bengali. The Newham Independents were founded in 2024, and they're very concerned about a Middle East thing that's going on. I think possibly most of their voters possibly speak Bengali. So they're straight in, new at 44% of the vote, so they almost get 50%. And then Labour, they're taking a seat from Labour. They used to have 50%, but they've lost 30% in this election. They're down to 24%, 21%. And then Reformer comes straight in at 16.1%, but I don't think there's any chance they can win it. I mean, that area has changed beyond recognition, really. I think Bengali is a very commonly spoke language there. Possibly a few others as well. There's the Green Party, so there was no need for them to protest vote using the Green Party here. They only get 7.4%, so maybe all their voters couldn't speak Bengali, possibly in this election. Maybe none of them could speak. And then we've got the Tories. They didn't stand the last time, but they get 6%. So, and the Lib Dems 4.4%. So they didn't stand either the last time. So who stood then the last time? It was probably Labour. Oh, there's no Labour. Nobody. That's it. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. There must have been somebody else. Maybe it was an independent, you know, hadn't so far been, I don't know what's happening there. Anyway, Newham has completely changed, and the Newham independents sounds really, you know, neutral, very neutral, but it looks like they can all speak Bengali. The three that I've got three councillors at the moment, I think possibly four. All of them are probably associated with the Labour before. It was I would guess that Labour are never going to win there again. So it's went from being Labour probably since its creation, since 1945 or whatever, and now Labour will never win it again, possibly. I would guess they would disagree with me on that. We're not allowed to use, we're not allowed to sort of predict on these sort of things, you know, using logic and whatever. Yeah, so that was the two big ones I was looking at. Newham, and then there was one in Warwick. There was two in Warwick, two seats. One I think hasn't changed too much, although it is changing. Another has changed a lot, and I think this might be the one. One is like old Brits are like 65% or something. Yeah, I don't know. This might be a wealthy area as well, so I don't know. But there's no sort of quote independent candidate who might be seen as an identity candidate as someone speaking have a second language that they maybe speak mostly. But so Green parties would be a good protest vote for people who are not happy with Labour. What Labour are doing in the Middle East, if that is the case, I don't know. Or maybe it's because it's quite a rich area. If it is, people have because Labour's the working class vote reform now, and Labour's coming from the middle class, and they might be switching to Lib Dems now, or the Greens even. So the Greens get 45% of the vote, they're up 24%, so something's went on there. The Tories have dropped 36%, so that's a big thing. But the Reform will only get 18%, and this is a first time standing there. Labour looks like they've never really been big there, so it must have been quite a rich, wealthy area, I think, I don't know. But it's changed quite a lot, I think. So, and Lib Dems only get 4%, so quite often the Lib Dems seem to be what richer areas go for, middle class areas, traditional middle class. So maybe this has changed quite a lot, and the people there, a lot of went for the Greens as a protest vote because there's no identity party, no independent, quote, independent. Whereas Reform haven't done that well. They did quite well, but not, maybe they can't do well in this place. There was one in another Warwickshire area, and I think that's not changed that much, and I think Reform won it from Labour. So probably Labour have lost that forever. Or until it's changed a lot. But Labour will probably never win it back, possibly. And then the Brighton one, so the Green Party one, get 13% up. Labour are down 10%. It was a Labour seat, but only just. Greens were not that far behind them last time. Reform are new, they've come in at 10%. That's possibly all they could get in this Brighton seat. It's probably a very diverse area. There's a Lib Dem candidate and 4.2%. Does it not say? Yeah, they did stand the last time, but they hardly got anything. Tories 3.5%, but they're down 4, so they've never really been big there. An independent, Adrian Hart, he get 2.8%. So the Greens have been a big winner, possibly on to do with the Middle East, but we don't know. And also a lot of people of Britain would support them anyway, especially because they would see that as a socialist party, you know. They foolishly thought the Labour Party were that, but so even though Labour were down, Reform have come in at 10, so maybe they get a bit of the Labour vote, I don't know. But yeah, so Brian, I think it's a lost cause for Reform there. Possibly Labour now as well. Tories, yep. And then there's that Cardiff one. So that's it. So the big news, I think Reform won 2 seats, I'm not sure. But they won a seat in Wales from an inner city Cardiff area, I think. So if they win that, I think they could possibly win every seat in Wales next year, I think. And we've also got this Newham Independent who's won a Bengali speaking gentleman. I think he's a third or fourth now. They've all been associated with Labour in the past, I think. It was a strong Labour area. So this is the other way that the country's going as well, where places are concentrated. I mean, I think the Newham Independence came about because they were unhappy about what was happening in the Middle East, what Labour's position on it. Or at least indirectly, that's what they're thinking. But this is possibly the other way. Concentrated areas are going to go. Here, I think there's possibly a chance that most of the councillors elected from now on might be able to speak Bengali, whereas in Blackburn and that, they might be able to speak Urdu. You know, there may be some areas coming up they might be able to speak Hindi or whatever the language is. Round about where that Bob Blackman MP is in the future, that might be the way these places are going. I mean, Labour has told us all this time we're all going to be united and we're going to vote in left and right. And we're going to have the same views on women's rights, etc. I don't know. Anyway, that's all for just now. So, personally, I think if you vote Greens, SNP, Labour, you should be voting Reform on a single issue. If you're not happy, you know. Reform are very soft on it, but it's a good start, you know, and they might Overton window shift them. They have shifted a few times already. Advance are better on it, you should vote for them better. I don't believe in parties. I think we should have single issue votes. And we should have a referendum on this, actually. We should have had one in 1948-49. We should have it every decade since then. But we've never had that. And Labour and Tories have completely changed the country forever. I think we've had more immigration over the last 10 years than we had like in 1,000 years or something. So yeah, so if you're a bit anxious about it, vote Reform. Don't worry about what SNP Labour politicians will call you, you know. So okay, and the Greens. Okay, bye for now.